Hi guys, and welcome back to FutureSight. I'm writer Joey.
And I'm Maxon.
Firstly, quick apology. I know this is late. Anyone?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Anyone who follows me on Facebook, writer Joey Facebook page, it's awesome. You should go there. All the cool kids are there. Anyone who's on that page will know that I actually recorded an 11th episode last week, but when I went to edit it, for some reason my computer hadn't saved it. I've since then rectified the problem. I am not lying, and I will break your legs. With that said, sorry this is late, and hopefully I can catch up again, and I'm actually going to try and record episodes in advance so that I'll have the next week's episode recorded in the current week, so if I can't record for any reason, we can always still get an episode out to you guys. Once again, sorry about that, and on to this week's episode. Well, this week's, a week's. So we're actually going to focus on a lead into nationals this episode, and I will apologise to...
Talking about now.
Yeah, well, we are the cool kids, and we're talking about it, so yeah. I mean, I'll apologise to some of the European countries that have already had their nationals.
Then really, this is a lead up to the UK nationals.
The UK and US nationals, and I think there's a handful of European nationals left. But an apology to you guys. Also, I should say the same for the Battle Roads lead up. We will actually try and get the next year's set of episodes out. Well, next formats set of episodes out at the start of each tournament season, and not just when our local countries leading into them. So anyway, the lead up to nationals. Now that we actually have all of the results from the US Battle Roads, we can have a strong look at how the Dark Explorers set has affected the format and how it's going to actually affect the last few sets of nationals around the world. I mean, it's already made a very, very obvious mark on the format just by looking at the totals for the US Spring Battle Roads. Like, we've got all the, your top three decks are, CMT, Zekrom, and Darkrai. Now you've got CMT, which used to be the biggest deck in format with 50 Battle Roads under it, 50 Battle Roads top forward, 93 for Zekrom Eel, and 116 top fours for Darkrai variants.
Although to be out of this list, just talking about that, Darkrai has got the most wins in first place by a very big margin.
That is true. It's actually probably it's got the highest percentage out of all of them. I mean, it's oddly enough, the Darkrai variants, they're showing that, they can be kind of inconsistent. I mean, just the whole fact that if you do look at CMT, it's 8 firsts, 15 seconds, and third and fourth place 27. Zekrom Eel, it's 15, 26, 52. The numbers are constantly growing towards the lower parts of the table. With Darkrai, though, it fluctuates. It's the only one that I can see doing that. It's at some point it's 40, first is 46, second 24, third and fourth 46 again.
Well, you have to remember that's also to do with the number of people running that deck as well in each tournament.
True. So you will get a lot of Darkrai's probably in top fours going against each other or sitting adjacent to each other, so facing the top two. But really, we have to look at why Darkrai is actually so big right now, and why it's just when I first saw the scans for Darkrai, I will be honest, I looked at it and thought, well, yeah, people might test it for its ability, it might be okay, but no, it's 3 for 90, 30 snipes okay, I guess. It's
nobody really anticipated how popular Dark Patch would get.
I know, it's all of his Dark support, I thought it was going to fall pretty flat. It would help the meta slightly, not help the meta, help the format slightly. It would add some diversity and some teching options.
Oh, there's some diversity, now there's Dark in the format.
Well, yeah, but it's the fact that I always thought, I actually thought that Zoroark was going to be the big deck when Dark Explorers came out. And I'm surprised to say that it's nowhere to be seen, and we've got Darkrai.
Off-right.
Okay, well, we do have some builds out there. I mean, I think some Hammer Time might run it.
But I think the main focus of all the Darkrai decks is just Sableye and Darkrai with random guys thrown in Smeargle or whatever.
Well, I think it's mostly actually the attack. When we first got the scans for Darkrai, it was 6 months ago, and it was still a pretty heavy one-shot format. If you weren't hit for big numbers, you weren't doing anything. But as the X format started to roll on a bit more, people have realised that it's gone from 130 being a magic number to, well, actually the magic number seems now to be around the 90 mark.
To two-shot everything.
Yeah, you can't one-shot anymore. Two-shotting is where the magic is at. It's like 90 is the perfect number for it, unless your opponent's, going with the Eviolite. But, like Darkrai saying, well, I hit for the new magic number.
I think,
and I'm also softening up the bench. I mean, that 30 damage, it's a permanent plus power, really. It's a permanent 3 plus powers on something.
I think the other thing you have to address is the fact that the Sableye can do a lot of disruption in the early game and can make it, obviously with the patches and whatnot, helps you set up and helps disrupt your opponent.
Oh yeah, that I will be honest, I think that Sableye combo, I don't know whether to say it's disgusting or beautiful. I mean, we've actually both talked about the Sableye before, and I like to think I hit the nail on the head with the whole fact that Sableye wouldn't be half as powerful if it just had 10 hit points less. It's like, well, it requires 1 energy to actually do anything, which means that, with no resistance to anything, well, Tornadus could one-shot it if there's a stadium in play and double colorless is going on. Mewtwo, double colorless, but knock it out in 1. But because it's got that extra 10 hit points, it can basically just sit there, blowing a raspberry at you for another turn, just like...
being able to disrupt it. It's the fact that it's because Crushing Hammer and Lost Mover become so popular. If your opponent isn't running some sort of trainer lock, it's very easy to stop them setting up at all and then just start swinging the game.
Oh yeah, that is invariably true. I mean, when you actually do talk about it like that, it is a case of like most people used to look at Crushing Hammer and they thought, I'd rather run Lost Remover. Just due to the fact that Lost Remover turned around and said, well, I guarantee getting rid of a card. It has to be a special energy, but I guarantee getting rid of something. But now with Sableye, it's a case of, well, you could miss 2 Crushing Hammers in a row. With Sableye, you don't care because you're getting them back. You've got 2 more chances next turn. I mean, if you do get 2 Crushing Hammers circulating your hand constantly, you do leave yourself in a position where, on average, you will be getting rid of at least 1 energy from your opponent's field. And if that's 1 energy per turn, you're basically making their you're negating every attachment they make unless they run acceleration.
Well, I think that's probably why we've got Zephyrmeals as the second biggest step, because Darkrai's disruption doesn't affect them too much.
That is unbearably true. It's a case of really you need to get the Darkrai out fast to try and stop. In
the early game, it probably would affect it because you probably need manual attachments. But
it's like mid to late game, it's moved.
Yeah,
it's a case of as soon as the Darkrai player sees the electric, they have to play the catcher. They have to hit it for 90. And they have to hope there's a 30 hit point Dynamo on the bench to snipe off. It is quite interesting, the whole fact that I have seen a lot more people actually sacrificing free retreat for those extra 10 hit points, mostly because those 10 hit points actually matter. I mean, if anything's going to snipe, it's most likely going to snipe for 30. I mean, Darkrai goes for 30, Extrill goes for 30. Heck, Tyro was still seeing play because it hit for 30. Now it's a case of, well, you have to hit 40. These 30s aren't going to do much, especially if I evolve. But it is a case of you can very definitely wear your opponent's field down even with just that 30 snipe, even if they are only 40 hit points Dynamos. And if you can get rid of their eels, then what do? Also, you noted that they've run, Lost Remover is very big right now. It's like, well, okay, is that a double cooler so you can actually charge up in 2 turns? No. Oh, you're running a Prism Energy so you can actually splash in, say, a Terrakion, which is pretty much needed these days. No. I mean, to be honest, a lot of decks these days are just, a lot of Darkrai's just turn around and I'm going to start my game by stopping yours. Yeah. I mean, really, a Darkrai deck, if it draws well enough, it doesn't technically need the Dark Patch. Because if Sableye gets its job done and effectively negates your opponent's draw, energy attachments, then Darkrai can be set up manually. You can save the Dark Patches for when you do lose Sableye or a Darkrai.
To be honest, you want to be swinging as fast as you can before your opponent does get any kind of setup.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's preferred. I'm not saying a turn 4 Darkrai is preferred, but it's the fact that really the deck can offer you that option, and you won't have lost if you have to go that way. Some decks that have energy acceleration basically rely on the energy acceleration. It's like I don't have energy acceleration to make the deck easier. I have energy acceleration to make the deck function. Darkrai has it to make it easier. It can function without. It's just that you'd rather have it because it, as I said, it's easier. If you you don't really want to turn around and say, well, I could run this card to make my deck easier, but no.
But the other two decks that were top falling, it seems to be the CMT and just general fighting decks.
True. I think like solo fighting is actually doing so well. Well, I say
just because the meta is a lot of fighting weak at the moment.
Well, it's like you've got a total of what 209. Is it 209? Yeah, 209 decks in just the states. Like top cutting, and they're all weak to fighting.
Yes.
It's all it basically becomes a case of how strategically can you play your deck. If you could throw out that one move that your opponent doesn't see coming, a solo fighting deck could easily turn around and say, well, here is some pain, enjoy it.
The only problem I see with the mono fighting decks is a lot of the fighting decks in general have little to no acceleration at all, and makes a lot of the other decks seem you just outspeed them by miles.
I mean, it's actually something that you've been saying, and oddly enough, we've had people say it to you as well. It's kind of funny how like as soon as you started saying it, other people have said it with you.
Yeah,
it's the fact that fighting's a strong type, but it's basically living up to its natural nature. It's powerful yet slow. This is one of those formats where a lot of decks are actually resembling in the card game what they are in the video game. The fact that they are like electric types are fast, fire types have the ability to do damage at some kind of cost, mostly like food types like flamethrower,
and dark types stop you attacking.
Dark types are all about less about sheer power and more about actually affecting the field, statuses, stat boosts, that kind of stuff.
Maybe, I'm not too sure.
Well, a lot of the biggest like darks, look at actually Darkrai's damage output. The fact that for an X his damage output looks kind of low, and then look at like dark movesets in the video game. There's no dark move in the video game that has more of a base power over 90.
Doesn't Zoroark's attack have a base power over 90?
Which one?
It's its personal attack.
If it is, it's probably the only one. That might be like the one exception to the rule, because going into Gen 5 I remember reading that all these new moves and none of them have a base of over 90, and it's it is pretty good. I mean, actually like to draw away from what was dominating the format over there, well, it's dominating Battle Roads, to actually let's look at the opposite end of the table, because I've noticed there is some interesting stuff down here that's
You haven't actually discussed CMT yet.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let's go back to the top. Whoop. So yeah, we've got CMT. It's I think the main reason it's actually up there is
the new Tornadus.
Yeah, new Tornadus, and still nothing really in format hits its weakness other than itself. You've got Mewtwo hits itself with weakness. Celebi, it's there to accelerate energy. If it dies, it dies.
Well,
and you've got two Tornaduses to play with now. One that can donk, and another one that can attack for a decent amount of damage, but it doesn't discard energy, it keeps it alive, at least.
I think
so basically it's a variable attachment.
Something you should mention. The top 3 decks all focus around energy acceleration.
Good show! I actually didn't notice that. It does seem like energy acceleration might be a big thing in the upcoming format. So who knows, Embo might actually see some play sometime in the near future.
No, when Darkrai Hydrate comes around the corner.
Yeah, true, but still, let Embo dream.
The problem with Embo, which is going off on a tangent, he's only going to have 4 energy retrieval, so he'll be able to attack 4 times, and then it has to rely on drawing into its energy.
True. Although we do have Bubble, which doesn't actually
discards all your energy,
and doesn't actually knock out everything anymore.
No,
Bad Ball, you are bad now. Bad Ball's gone from being mediocre ball to actually being Bad Ball.
I mean, unless the new Kyurem, the Fire Kyurem, helps the deck in any way.
Let's see if I can remember.
Well, it's not a Fire Kyurem, it's a Bresh of the White Kyurem. I don't even know what it's called. What are they called?
It is a Black Kyurem and White Kyurem.
Oh, right. So Nintendo's probably going to have to rename those before they get over to the US.
I'm hoping that with the Japanese getting the English word, then hopefully we'll get the Japanese one, so it'll be Shiro and Kuro.
No.
Aww.
For kids.
Still, I would love that because I actually have a Digimon sketch in mind that actually uses that.
Meanwhile, somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, the other two decks, which is solo fighting, that's pretty much self-explanatory. It's probably just using probably like Terrakion and stuff like that, or Donphan, which with Donphan it needs little to no energy to set up.
I think the solo fighting, if it's anything like it was during our regionals, is going to be like Terrakion and Landorus. Landorus for the energy acceleration and Terrakion for doing what Terrakion does. You may have the occasional maybe Groudon X there, people experimenting with that guy. Because quite frankly, he is a guy that deserves some experimentation, really.
Well, definitely in our fighting week format, but again, all these big fighting guys are pretty big and bulky, with the exception of Donphan. Or they all need like at least 2 energy, and that's where Darkrai just rules supreme, where you can just get rid of that energy every turn.
I'm surprised to see that Donphan as a deck isn't actually rocking it higher. I mean, it's not even like included in solo fighting from what I've seen. I mean, Donphan seems to be its own variant deck, just because so many people want to actually make them. The list we've got in front of us is like Donphan Tornadus, Donphan Mewtwo, Donphan Cobalion. It's like, I mean, between them we've got, 2, 4, 6 top cuts. In fact, Donphan Mewtwo actually won one. And Donphan Tornadus. It seems that Cobalion was holding it back. Although I think it's because Cobalion isn't as splashable with Donphan.
I'm sorry. I was just looking at this. How Lugia Legend Terrakion?
It won 2 as well.
I was just looking at it, I was like, what?
Energy acceleration.
Yeah, I guess.
I didn't say it was good energy acceleration, but it's energy acceleration.
The thing I don't quite understand is where did Cake go? Because that had like a lot going for it, and it only got more and more toys to play with, and nobody seems to play Durant anymore. There's a few on this list. I'll give it that.
Is it 7 or 8? There's 8 on the list. Only one.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like ever since Darkrai came out, Darkrai can handle Durant with no problem. So I'm thinking maybe Cake could do something, and well, obviously not in its original Cake form, but maybe with some new guys.
That's actually something that gets me, especially with number 5 on this list, Klinklang. The Klinklang X deck. That to me just screams Cobalion. It's like, oh, we've got all these X's, we can like, because we've got all these different like rainbow types of energy, we can splash things. Why not splash it that metal guy that could really screw your opponent over?
I don't know. I mean, considering the decks has to fight, all the top 3 decks have a free retreat in one way or another. With CMT, it's going to be Celebi and Tornadus. With Skyro Bridge, with Zekrom Electric, it's going to be either if they run the Raikou or just any. Well, they can actually retreat anything and just get their energy back. And with Darkrai, everything is free retreat, so Cobalion doesn't really...
Well, Cobalion doesn't hit Darkrai, but in Zekrom, if you've got the Zekrom in front of you, you smack the guy and it's 2 energy to retreat unless they have a Tech Darkrai and Prism energy.
Or Switch.
Well, yeah, Switch is always going to be there unless you go for like a Trainlock Klinklang X, which is going to be incredibly slow. Also means you can't run Dual Ball, which means you rely on Smeargle to get your collector. Oh yeah, but really you don't really drawing into collector mid to late game.
But as I say,
to late game really.
For if it's a run up for nationals, then obviously the decks you're gonna have to look out for is just really Darkrai, Zekrom Electric, and CMT. I mean, there's not much else to really talk about except for maybe Rogues.
When you look at this, I mean, definite things to expect will be the top 5. So Darkrai, Zekrom, CMT, Solo Fighting, and Klinklang X. People will be Klinklang. It's got a lot of versatility, and for a fact that there are players out there who could just turn around and say, also, I have a toolbox, I will do something awesome with this. But also, like some of the lesser known decks, I mean, like the very last deck on this list, so that's really caught my attention, mostly because I've seen it in action and it reminds me so much of my beloved Vanillux, Excelgo Vileplume. I mean, I absolutely adore our deck, and we will be making an episode on this. I mean, I know it's not a future deck, but it deserves covering.
Well, it's pretty much just like Vanillux, but without it replaces coin tosses with have I got 2 energy or a double coolest in my hand this turn.
But as I said, we will be making that episode. That should be 2 episodes after this one. I'm noting that down, guys. Make me keep my promise. But it's the whole fact that it does remind me of that Vanillux so much, and I will cover like why, the advantages it has over Vanillux in that upcoming video. But also, like, there are a few surprise things down here. I mean, Mew Vanillux, I could see more people trying to run that. I mean, we've seen people run it right down our way because of actually who won with it. I mean, it's only got 1 win, but we know who that is. Does Max know who that is?
Me? I've not really been keeping up.
Actually, yeah, I was told by one of the guys at League. It's actually Jason Klaczynski. The only guy to ever win Worlds twice. Well, is it twice or twice in a row? It's one of those two. But still, he made a big name for himself by basically being the best. I mean, he's the one who made, it was his GG deck that made it into a World Championship list. Enough said. He was playing your girl, so yeah. What else is on here? Oh, there's actually a Mew Excelgor on here. I mean, the number at top 4 actually have the exact same like win type as Excelgor Valplume. 3 made it into top 4 for Mew Excelgor. 3 made like 3rd or 4th place. 2 Excelgor Valplume made it into top 4, and they both got 3rd or 4th place.
Yeah, but the only problem with that,
to me, it looks like it is a top tier deck potentially.
I mean, I don't know. In nationals, you really been wanting to run something that can work well in any given situation. That includes like whatever you're facing, what deck you're facing, and what point in the tournament you are. If it's time, or if you're on sudden death, trainer lock decks probably won't do that well.
Actually, that is something I will cover in the upcoming episode for it, mostly because Excelgor has surprised me for one good reason, and I'm not going to say just yet. It will be in the episode though, and it will be awesome.
Okay.
It's something that I'm sure you've noticed actually with what Excelgor can do. But anyway, word to close up on this. Well, actually, I just noticed Napoleon Terrakion actually won 1 Battle Roads.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's got 5 top 4s only. It's like 3rd or 4th and then 1 first. It's like why no seconds? I mean, for the amount of hype it got, I thought it would have actually had a much bigger showing. I mean, with the how Empoleon was hyped. I mean,
well, it wasn't hyped, I don't think, because
there were a lot of people talking about it. I mean, even you were like baffled by the whole fact. It's like the biggest deck in format is electric. Why do you want to run water?
Well, I think
that was a good call.
I see Empoleon. I think it's like jump up butt.
It's like jump up butt weak to the format.
It's like jump up butt. It isn't in a format where things were swinging for hundreds and hundreds of damage. It was in a format that swung for like 80 at most. So it was bound to live, and again, it wasn't weak to the format. But Empoleon, it's a good card, but just not good for the format.
Yeah, it's a good card in the wrong place at the right time. Well, it's in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's weak to one of the top 3 decks, but it also has a okay matchup against one of the top 3 decks. I mean, it's weak to Zekrom, but against Darkrai, it can handle itself because it doesn't.
Because it requires the 1 attachment, I think you're trying to say.
Yeah, and it's able to be its own draw engine, kind of like Magnezone used to be.
Oh yeah, well,
not to a great extent, but still having its own draw engine built in.
I think it is a bit better than Magnezone actually. Magnezone was a case of, I can draw until I've got 6 cards in my hand, which meant you could draw more than 2 without a cost. But, and you know this from how I played Magnezone, you could just obliterate your deck with it, and it was like, you don't really want to do this. At least with Empoleon, you do have the option to draw to over 7 cards in hand, and then you can play Pont to put some cards back into your deck in the late game. It's a lot easier to actually replenish deck playing Empoleon, whereas Magnezone, well, the only recovery cards we had were supporters back then, and it was a case of, okay, well, I draw lots, I spend cards from my hand, I draw some more, I spend cards from my hand, I use Pont. It's like, your deck just vanished. If you couldn't win quick, you didn't win.
Yeah, so to wrap up, I guess, there's the top 4, which is Darkrai.
That's top 5.
Really? We're talking about top 5?
Yeah, Darkrai, Zekrom, CMT, Solo Fighting, and Kling Clang will be played.
It'll be but
I'm not saying it's going to be the biggest contender, but be prepared for it. With it being a toolbox style deck, you should be prepared. So yeah,
and then again, be prepared for any random train lock rogues or anything that people might be still testing, like Empoleon or anything for the new sets.
Oh yeah, I mean, for big rogues, there's Excelgor, which somebody might end up refining. Vanillux is going to take a jump in popularity for one very obvious reason, and of course there's our pet project, which was Exadrill. With the Exadrill matchup, it is a case of it's options.deck, and it stands a chance. I don't think it'll top. I wouldn't be surprised to see if enough people play it, 1 or 2 Exadrills on day 2 of nationals.
Maybe.
Yeah, it is a big maybe, but
you saying it would be nice to see.
Yeah, but it's our pet project, so of course we want to see it do well. Well, with all this rambling over and done with, I think we should sign off for today.
Very well.
Until next time, I've been Rata Joey.
I am still Maxon.
If you like what you heard, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay in the top percent.